Well, I feel that it's almost. I mean, it's an idea that you can just prescribe this system anywhere. It's this idea that you can just enact a system. Basically, this Western idea of industrialization that's going to work everywhere.
And that's probably one of the biggest faults of the Western nations is this one-size-fits-all programs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's not one system that fits all. Absolutely not. However, there are basic guidelines, basic rules that what you need to do is you need to go more on a local level, and you need to, like what we were trying to do on the, that's why we went on the trip from the first film, is we went into the community and we conceptualized the problem, and we understood the cultural ramifications, we understood where the culture was coming from, we know like what that society is specifically feeling, and then taking those basic guidelines, we apply them to that society, and those basic guidelines will look completely different in a flailing Asian nation. They'll look completely different in East Africa, but there's these basic, education, healthcare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. But one would have to say that education, even like a system of Western education, probably isn't what the system that an Aboriginal tribe would teach their children with.
That's fair, and I think that there's all this talk about Westernization, and modernization is just the McDonaldization, McGlobalization, they say. But at the same time, basically we're involved now. Western nations are involved. And it would almost be just as offensive to go, well, we're going to help you return back to your old ways. We're going to help you get back to your tribal. That's not going to happen.
Well, but yeah, that's just another.
It's just another thing. So what you need to do is try and preserve that culture and try to preserve those values, but you need to integrate it into the modern world, because the modern world is integrating. There's nothing we can do about it. So capitalism is, I would love it if we could do farm shares and little communities, but at the end of the day, the world is globalized, and what is it? Standards of living are going up, and you got to just try to adapt to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate, but I feel like I would hope that the basis of culture is still alive. I mean, we can see it when we go to Ethiopia. I don't know if we portrayed it enough in the film, but you can see there's culture there, and there's vibrance, and there's family structures are still intact. It's just they've been kind of bowled over.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Whenever you come into contact with something new, everything changes.
Yeah.
Right? It's just kind of the law of the way societies work and the way of cultures. It's really good, by the way. You want to go on and tell us a little bit about your new project that would be interesting to St. Lawrence community?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, we have a couple projects. You want me to go on the Phil Cohen project? Is my roommate and good friend Phil Cohen. I'm sure a lot of people know him around campus. He's kind of the token musician on campus. If there's ever any sort of concert or event or charity or anything, Phil Cohen is basically the one signed up to do the entertainment, because he's a really gifted musician, really talented singer-songwriter.
Beautiful person.
Beautiful, beautiful person. And he is going to St. Lawrence because his dream is to be a musician, and that's his life. That's his reason for getting up in the morning. But he understands the tough economic times we are in, and it's very difficult to make it as a musician. And that's why he came to college. He's actually a biology major. And that's his, he always said, oh, that's my fallback. That's my secondary thing. And I think it's really, since I've known him, I think he's been emboldened by his, sweater celebrity status here. He's like, wow, people are actually connecting with my music. And it's, since I've known him, it's just kind of this urge, this is growing inside him just to go out and see what he can do and try to make it as a musician because he thinks he can make it, and I think he can too. Come on!
Anyhow, continue on, my friend.
Well, basically, Phil's a sophomore, and next year he's going to leave St. Lawrence, and he's going to go to New York City, and he's going to try to make it as a musician. And make it as a musician. And so I really, to me, this kind of jumped out at me as a really compelling story. I mean, it's a classic archetypal story, like man against the odds doing what he wants to do. Especially in this climate, this financial crisis is not the smart time to try out college, but he's doing it. So my project is basically I'm going to follow him through a year of him trying to make it as a musician. And how I've set it up, how I want to do it is in parts, and this is kind of like trying to embrace the new media. And we're going to be releasing the film in episodes, in 3 or 4 parts. And there's a couple in parts, and then there's episodes to each part. And it's basically, we're going to start off, and this is what I'm filming right now, is him kind of conceptualizing Phil, conceptualizing where he's from, and him leaving St. Lawrence. And then the second part is going to be him recording his EP to give out to people in Vermont. And then the third part is he finally goes to New York City. Mm-hmm. And then the fourth part is he either makes it or he doesn't. So it's this I think it's framed really well, and I'm really excited because I think that it's like the perfect amount of suspense because I believe he can make it. I believe he's a very talented musician and songwriter. But at the same time, there's a definite possibility that he won't. Either way, it's a compelling film, but I think it's a very human story. So that's the one I'm really excited about. That's the one I'm working on now.
Well, great. Thank you, Keith. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Thanks for having me. The weave, baby!
The weave.